Hey everybody, big news. We may have found out what Jon Snow's actual Targaryen name is. There are a couple really big theories, so I'll explain what's going on. Just careful for spoilers for everything that's happened on the show so far. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get everything. Click that bell to make sure you don't miss out. There's going to be so much dropping really soon. The big news now is that Empire Magazine did a big preview for Game of Thrones. They talked to a couple of the actors, they got quotes. When they talked to Isaac Hempstead, right, they were talking about Bran's big secret. But as they quoted in the article here, it says, as we saw in the last episode of Season 6, Bran's psychic time-traveling green sight revealed the true nature of Jon's birth heritage and his real name, and then they quote, Jaehaerys Targaryen. And then Isaac is quoted as saying, Bran's now in this precarious situation in which it's just him and Meera, and he has all this information that could change the entire story. And it's not just about Jon. He knows about the origin of the White Walkers, too. So there's a whole lot to unpack here. But of course, when this was posted, everyone had their own theories about what was going on. Like maybe the person writing this magazine article is just speculating. It's not like the cast would give away a big piece of information like that. But HBO themselves gave away Jon's true Targaryen heritage, even though fans had had the theory for a long time that he was the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark. The policy of HBO thus far has been to just say nothing. Like, don't comment on spoilers, don't come out and say, yes, you're right, no, you're wrong, this is what's really going on. They just leave it to the show to reveal, and then maybe sometimes in the notes after episodes post, and then later on the showrunners will actually literally say, this is what we were trying to do in this scene. During Season 4, when the Night King was turning one of Craster's sons into another White Walker, they even put it in a big featurette. So taking it with a grain of salt, let's say for the sake of argument that that is Jon's true name. Lyanna Stark whispered everything to Ned Stark, explaining the situation, explaining what Jon Snow's true name was, his heritage. People lip-read and claimed that they thought that she was saying Jaehaerys, but again, you still have to call it a theory. The only thing we know for sure is that he would have had a Targaryen name, so it's just a question of what that is. Aegon and Jaehaerys were the two big theories for that very big reason. People lip-read, they thought that he said Jaehaerys, and there's a lot of story significance in the books and on the TV show that's a little bit different for why his name would be one of those two things. So let's start with the books first. In the books, there was a king called Maegor the Cruel. He was one of the sons of Aegon the Conqueror. He had trouble conceiving a son, he married 6 different wives, and presided over this faith-militant uprising like you saw happen on the show during Season 6. And what he did, like just an example of how terrible he was, he paid out gold dragons for the scalps of the higher-born members and silver stags for the poor fellows, which is just sort of the peasant arm of the faith-militant. Later in life, he even had his first wife killed. The rest of his wives all met untimely ends. One of the other 6 claimed responsibility for the deaths of all of the others. He cut her heart out, named one of his female cousins his heir, and then the 7 kingdoms over his later years slowly started turning against him. Even his own family, eventually they took the sword Blackfire, the ancestral Targaryen Valyrian blade, rode off on all the dragons, and he was abandoned in his throne room. They came and found him later impaled by the Iron Throne, believing that he killed himself or that somebody else who had been building the Red Keep for him had come and sought revenge. You see the similarity to the Mad King. The Mad King started out actually not being that bad of a person, but slowly succumbed to the Targaryen madness, and people started to turn against him. His family started to turn against him. Everyone abandoned him, and then finally, he was impaled on the Iron Throne, although it was by Jaime with his sword. That's all part of how he earned the name Maegor the Cruel, but he was succeeded by someone called Jaehaerys the Wise. Rhaegar's father was known as the Mad King. There was this long-standing theory that he engineered the tourney at Harrenhal to assemble the lords and call a great council to decide how to depose his father and put someone better on the throne. But thanks to the machinations of Varys, who was Lord of Whispers to the Mad King came to the tourney at Harrenhal thwarting Rhaegar's plan, and obviously we know things led to Robert's rebellion, and it all went into the shitter. So the idea stands that Rhaegar was going to have a baby with someone that he loved, Lyanna Stark. It would be the child of Iron Feist, the culmination of the prophecy of the prince who was promised. He believed in the coming of the White Walkers, so this child, Jon Snow, was going to be the culmination of a new leader that would be able to lead them through the long night, but also literally a leader, as in sitting on the Iron Throne. The counter evidence to his true name being Aegon is just that Aegon is a big character in the books, young Griff, and as the show tends to do, they give characters storylines to other characters on the TV show, like Gendry kind of became Book Edric Storm. Aegon in the books is another contender for the throne, but because the TV show is winnowing plot lines down, it's possible that they would just make him Aegon and it'd be a vastly different version of the book story, even though it doesn't seem like the Iron Throne is something that Jon Snow would ever covet. The TV show evidence for his name being Jaehaerys is just that Jaehaerys II was the father of the Mad King. Now, it's different in the books, like the line of Targaryen kings is whittled way down on the TV show. So it'd be like Rhaegar naming his baby with Lyanna Stark after his grandfather, just trying to backspace delete over his father. Like all that terrible stuff that happened, let's get rid of it, pretend like it never went down, and start over again. The whole concept of the Jon Snow character is that Rhaegar thought that he was the Song of Ice and Fire very literally, and he would lead them through the long night. Now, as you've learned from Melisandre's visions, prophecies, visions, things in the TV show get misinterpreted quite a bit. So I think the left turn for the TV show is that there will be no one person who's going to lead them through the long night. Even if Jon Snow's real name is Jaehaerys, or if you still want to back the Aegon theory, both solid picks. So let me know in the comments, what do you think is going on in this magazine here? This is actually something that they print and they ship and sell for money, so it's not like they would just let this slip by. Many people review this before it goes into print. It's not just like one person sitting there writing it and then sending it off to a printer to be made into thousands and thousands of copies spread all over the world. So there's just a lot of fishy things about this, so I would treat it with a grain of salt. But it does imply that they are going to reveal Jon Snow's true name. And if they do, I honestly don't think that it's going to change much for Jon Snow. He still considers himself the son of Ned Stark above all else, so even if he learned about his true father, he would probably try to learn a little bit more about that. But this scene here from the trailer makes it look like he's going to be in such dire circumstances that that will be the last thing on his mind. So let me know in the comments, they revealed Jon Snow's true heritage on the TV show. How many episodes deep do you think we'll get before that happens? Because it sounds like Bran is going to make it near or south of the Wall in that first episode. So if Jon Snow doesn't make it north of the Wall till the end of the season, it sounds like they would hold off the way they held off the Tower of Joy reveal till episode 10 last year. So do not be surprised if it's a slow burn over the course of 7 episodes, but leave all your requests for bonus videos in the comments below. There'll be more Game of Thrones as we get closer and closer to the series dropping. As long as you have alerts enabled, then you'll totally see the videos when I post them. Congratulations to the latest giveaway winner, Winter is here. Please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. While you wait for my next video, you can click here for all those behind the scenes trailers, and you can click here for all the promo videos. Thank you so much for watching. Let's iBot. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.